Okay, so we are diving into the world of Docker, and we've got our Docker cheat sheet right here.
Yeah, this is it. The roadmap to elegant software development.
Never ever like spent hours like wrestling with installing software, just trying to get a project up and running.
Oh, the famous dependency hell. It's a classic for developers.
Yeah.
But Docker is here, luckily, to save us from all of that.
So this is like no more like pulling my hair out trying to figure out why the right version of, something something isn't installing right.
Yeah, you got to think of it this way. Each piece of software you need, all neatly packaged, in its own little container, completely self-sufficient. No conflicts, no dependencies.
Oh, okay.
Just pure coding bliss. That's the magic of Docker.
Okay, this is already kind of blowing my mind, but let's break it down a little bit.
Yeah.
We keep hearing these words, images and containers. What's the deal with those?
Okay, so think of an image like the blueprint that we were just talking about. It has all the instructions to build this application environment. The container is what comes from that blueprint, the actual running instance of your app.
Mm-hmm.
You build the image once, and from that one image, you can have multiple containers, each isolated, independent. They don't talk to each other.
So it's kind of like, I don't know, like baking. Is that a good analogy? The image is like the recipe, and the container is the actual cake that you get to eat at the end. And you can bake as many cakes from that recipe as you want.
Yeah, that's a delicious analogy. I like that. And just like you wouldn't bake a cake without an oven, you need Docker
Yeah.
to build and run these containers. And speaking of which, have you seen those commands on your cheat sheet? Building an image, running a container. These are your everyday tools.
Yeah, like Docker build and Docker run, they seem pretty straightforward. But can you give me like an example of how I would actually use one of these commands?
Oh, absolutely. Let's say you want to run like a simple Hello World application, right?
Mhm.
In your terminal, you would type Docker run Hello World. Docker then pulls this Hello World image from a central repository called Docker Hub,
Okay.
which is basically a massive library of pre-built images.
Wait, so Docker Hub is like the ultimate app store, but for developers?
Precisely. Exactly. It's a game changer. You need a database, grab a MySQL image, want to play around with a new web server, pull down an Nginx image.
Mm.
No more tedious setup.
That's amazing. I can see why developers get really excited about this. But how do I know? I mean, how do I know which images are good? It's not like there's a rating system on Docker Hub, right?
That's a great question.
Mm.
And while there isn't a rating system like you would see on, your typical app store,
Right, right.
you can look at the images with a large number of downloads
Mm.
and check, are they from verified publishers, that sort of thing. You can actually filter by that as well in your searching.
That makes sense. So it's always good to do your due diligence like anything else before you just pull down an image off the hub.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, going back to your cheat sheet, do you see the Docker run ASCII command?
Yeah, yeah.
This one's particularly interesting.
It mentioned something about port mapping, and I was curious about that.
This is where things get really cool. Right? So port mapping lets you access applications that are running inside of a container from your computer.
Uh,
Remember our shipping container analogy. It's like opening a specific port on that container so that you can interact with what's inside.
oh, so okay, so I could run a web server inside a container and then use port mapping to actually view that website on my own computer on my own browser.
Precisely.
That's incredible. I didn't know it could be that simple.
And that's really just, that's just scratching the surface. Think about how much time, how much effort this can save you, especially as your projects get more and more complex.
Wow. Okay, so Docker sounds like a total game changer.
Yeah.
I'm already feeling like way more confident about tackling certain software projects that I was kind of, shying away from. Thanks to this cheat sheet and your insights, I mean, it all just seems so much more approachable now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
Just remember, this is just the beginning. Now that you kind of understand the basics, the possibilities, I think, are pretty much endless. You could automate your entire development workflow, deploy these applications seamlessly, and collaborate with other developers so easily. It's a
Amazing.
whole new world.
Well, from dependency hell to like Docker delight. I like that.
I like that.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us on this Docker deep dive, everyone. Until next time.